Hey everyone, I'm Melanie from Streamlined Legal, where we help law firms get the most out of their practice management software. Tonight, I am talking about something that I think some of you may have missed, and I want to make sure that you're getting the most out of your practice management software, of course. So I'm going to show you what it is. When we are in Clio, we just by nature of practicing and working within Clio, we get a lot of contacts added to Clio, and they can be ultra helpful, especially if we need to find that person again or remember them. But at a certain point, you start forgetting who people are, right? If you're not there yet, you will be. At a certain point, you start forgetting, was this a potential client? Was this a past client? Was this the client's sister? Was this a referral source? Like, it's a lot to keep up with. And so I want to show you a really good way that that Clio can help with this. And I think some of you may be skipping over this step, so I want to make sure that you catch it. Let's head over first to our screen where we're going to take a look at our Clio screen. And I'm going to show you that when we are looking at a contact, let me hop on over to Teresa here. When we look at a contact, we can see, of course, all of their contact information. But over here on the right is where we start looking at any matters that they're represented in, right? So if we're on the right-hand side here at the top, it's got what are the client's matters. That means these are all the matters that Teresa was a client in. And actually 2 of them are open right now and 1 of them is pending. If there was a closed matter, that would show up here as well. But this is basically showing us where Teresa was a client in a matter. Now, obviously that's very helpful. But what I find even more helpful is down below that, where it talks about associated matters. Now, these are all the matters that Teresa was interacting with or a part of, but not necessarily the client, right? So you can see here that in this probate case, she was beneficiary number 1, and she was also heir number 1. And then in this estate of Matthew Perry, she was actually the spouse or and the heir. And then lastly, we've got her being seller number 1 in this real estate transaction. And so it shows us all the different ways that she's related to these different matters. Now, how did we get her in there to begin with, right? Because there are all kinds of different ways that we can do this. So let me show you an example here. First, we'll just take the example of this sample divorce case, right? In the divorce case, of course, she's showing up as the client. And of course, when we click on the divorce case, you'll see she's right here in the upper right corner as the client. Now, keep in mind, right now, Clio only allows for 1 client per matter. And so if you have a co-client or a spouse of the client that's also the client, or client number 2 or whoever it is, that person, you can put them as a related contact and name them a co-client, but they're not going to show up as one of their matters. Only the first client that's listed will it show up as one of their matters, okay? So that's usually the easiest one, right? Most of us, or I should say all of us, have clients on our matters, or else we wouldn't be able to open a matter in Clio. So that's the easy one. Next comes this one right here, this probate case. I'm going to open up this probate case so we can see how Teresa is the spouse/heir in this case. And a little hint here, it tells us she's a related contact, right? So if I open up this probate matter over here and I come in here, I'm going to see under the related contacts, Teresa's listed as the spouse/heir, right? And again, it's under the related contacts, very easy to find. So I have her information. But that all has been a part of Clio for a while. But what came about recently to really little to no fanfare, but I think is a huge, great benefit, is having her listed now as a contact in a custom field. So what this is showing me now on her associated matters on this probate case here, when she's listed as a beneficiary 1 and heir 1, she's listed in the custom fields. So let's go take a look at that matter so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. In this probate case, if I go to the custom fields now, I can see that she's listed right here, Teresa Test Person, as client agent 1. She's also listed, let's see, scroll down here, as heir 1 and beneficiary 1. So she's very busy in this matter, right? Now keep in mind, this only works if the custom field type is a contact select custom field type, right? Where I can just click on it and see her contact information, right? And when I do that, then it's going to associate her with that matter. Now, if instead, let's say this was just a single line text custom field where I had to type in her information and it wasn't connected to her contact, then that would not make the association, okay? So again, single line custom fields where you just type in the person's name are not going to create this association. It has to be a contact select custom field where I can start typing her name and it pulls her contact information from my Clio contacts. And that's how we get her to show up over here as the beneficiary number one in the heir number one, right? So those custom fields can be very, very powerful. And again, we see that here in this real estate matter. If we open up this real estate matter, and again, she's not in the related contacts, of course, but if we go to the custom fields, we see that Teresa test matter, is seller number one. And so again, this can be very, very, very powerful and very helpful. I love to use this as the example of like judges, right? What are all of the cases I've had with this judge, or insurance adjusters? What are all the cases I've had with this insurance adjuster? That can really give me some good ideas as to how things will move forward on this particular case. But here's the trick, right? If when we're creating our matters, if we're not adding people as related contacts, or we're not putting them into custom fields as a contact select, this won't work. This data will not be collected. This data will not be helpful because it won't be making that association within the software. So best practice, when you are creating a matter and working on a matter, add everyone related to that matter as a related contact or as a contact select in your custom fields if you have an appropriate custom field for that. Don't skip that step, because that is what creates those relationships, and that is what's going to give you that data and that information. So let me know how that works out for you. Let me know if you've tried that, if it worked, how helpful it was. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Thanks so much and have a great evening.